I want to take a couple minutes today to talk about cryptocurrency. Very popular space these last handful of years. Popular market. Want to give you a few of our thoughts at this point. First of all, as with anything, there are pros and cons. So when we talk about cryptocurrency, what are some of the pros? To start with, it's exciting, right? People like new things, new initiatives. This is a new evolving space. Gives people the same kind of feel if they had gotten in on the internet in the 1990s, maybe they got into social media in the mid-2000s. New and exciting technology. Seems like it's here to stay. This doesn't seem like a fly-by-night thing at this point. There was a time it was like, hey, what exactly is this Bitcoin, this cryptocurrency? Is it a fad? Seems like it's established enough, should be around for a while. Of course, the question is, what will be the winners? What will be the ultimate uses? We'll get to that in a minute. And then there's the potential for astronomical returns. You probably know somebody who knows somebody that made a ton of money buying Bitcoin at 50 cents when it went to $50,000, or Dogecoin or whatever. So sure, as with any hot new area of the financial markets, you can make tremendous returns here. Of course, as with anything pros, you also get some cons. First of all, there's no consensus on the future winner for either crypto or the blockchain. And the blockchain is really the technology that underlies cryptocurrencies. It's how they reach the agreements that support the crypto. There's no consensus. Is it going to be Bitcoin? Certainly that's the leader in the clubhouse, the largest digital currency at this point, but who knows whether or not that will ultimately be the winner. It's also not possible to invest in individual decentralized finance or DeFi or blockchain transactions. And so in addition to cryptocurrencies, another exciting part of this space is the blockchain allowing people to decentralize finance. So essentially, I want to borrow money from somebody rather than going through a bank. We connect directly, come to an agreement, record that on the blockchain. We've disintermediated the financial institution. We didn't have to go to the bank. We come to an agreement among ourselves. It can be quicker, it can be cheaper. It can be secured because we can post collateral as needed on the blockchain that can't be altered. So a great way to do these things in this new emerging technology, but it's not possible to invest in these individual spaces, and so it's hard to get a broad approach. Also, excessive volatility. Just as these things have gone up tremendously, some of these cryptocurrencies, they've had tremendous falls as well, and we'll talk more about that. And then finally, potential total loss of principal. If you buy a broad basket of stocks, the chances of them all going to zero are very, very, very low. If you buy real estate, sure, the prices can fall, but you still have land. With some of these digital currencies, they could turn out to be worth nothing. Even if the space survives and thrives, it could be that any individual currency completely loses its value. Speaking of volatility and tremendous returns, here's Bitcoin in the last 5 years. And you can see this tremendous run up, peaking at over 60,000, but also some huge price declines as well. So very high volatility. You need to have a large stomach for this, as well as realizing why you're buying it. Because what we hear from a lot of people is that they want to buy this as an inflation hedge. Well, folks, as of this recording, lots of inflation out there. The last 6 to 12 months have had probably the highest inflation in the last 40 years or more here in the United States. And yet look at Bitcoin, down in that period. So as an inflation hedge, don't know what the future holds, but at least over the last year, Bitcoin has not been an effective inflation hedge. So you need to consider, why are you holding Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency? If it's not as an inflation hedge, is it as a diversification tool? Is it to get away from traditional stocks, bonds, real estate, and the like? Is it as a source of cash as opposed to holding money in the bank or something like that? As with any investment or financial product, it's important to know your why before going into the crypto space. So finally, what about some takeaways? Well, for one thing, position sizing matters. Remember that volatility we talked about, that potential that it could go to zero. You don't want all your money in any one crypto, or probably in crypto in its entirety. How much you invest in this space matters. As a small percentage of a portfolio, maybe it makes sense for you depending on your circumstances, but you want to make sure that as a contribution to the overall risk and return in your portfolio, it's not outsized. Blockchain and decentralized finance, we do think, are likely to have significant impacts in years to come. We think it's here to stay. However, in order to invest in that space, we think that any single coin or token, including Bitcoin, again, the leader in the clubhouse, may be too concentrated of a position. We prefer a shotgun exposure over a rifle, so broad-based exposure. The example I would use here is, let's say back in the 2000s you decided social media was the wave of the future. You were right. Social media, we all know, pretty popular these days. You went out, you bought MySpace. How'd that work out? Answer is not so good. On the other hand, if you bought Facebook, it worked out quite well, right? So maybe Bitcoin or any other coin that's out there right now is Facebook, but maybe it's MySpace. So we like that shotgun approach to get exposure to cryptos, to get exposure to decentralized finance, the blockchain more broadly. The problem is, right now, we haven't found a lot of good products to get that broad-based exposure. So our big takeaway, our big recommendation is to continue to monitor this space for new products and vehicles. They're coming out all the time. Consider if exposure to this emerging technology makes sense for you. If so, size it appropriately, and then look for a vehicle that's going to get you broad-based exposure to this emerging technology. That's a little bit on cryptocurrency. Again, I'm Brian Perry. This is Pure Financial Advisors. If you want to learn a little bit more about cryptocurrency or anything else having to do with your finances, please contact us for a free financial assessment.